My dear Virgin Islands people, a pleasant good day and God's blessings to you and your families. This is your Premier, Andrew A. Foy, coming to inform you, the people of the Virgin Islands, of the updates on our efforts in regards to COVID 19. Continue to be well. Continue to be in good spirits. Continue to use this time to reflect and enjoy the company of your families while practicing social distancing at home. For those of you who are working from home, I thank you for doing your part to keeping this economy going. Your commitment gives me hope because you are indeed showing through your actions that we are all in this together. By now, you know our collective mission, and that is to stop COVID 19 in its track here in this territory. When we do that, we are contributing to the world's message. That is, the only way to win this invisible threat is to show love to each other from a distance. I'm reminded of a song that I haven't heard for a very long time. From a distance, where Bette Midler says, "From a distance, the world looks blue and green. From a distance, there's harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of every man." God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. And I firmly believe in my heart, where my faith in God is strong, that healing is in our land, but we must do our part with BVI love. I say this because I am yet to think of a time when God didn't come through for us here in the British Virgin Islands. So I want all of us to believe, to reflect, and to remember the many triumphs in our lives. We all got back up, and we got back up stronger. And I believe that working together, policing ourselves will bring the COVID 19 count back to zero, and together we will keep it there. I believe that through our joint efforts as a territory, a government, and a citizenry, we will achieve this. Every day that passes without a new case or cases of the coronavirus being confirmed in the British Virgin Islands is a milestone for us in the British Virgin Islands. But we must not become complacent. And so today, where we have no new confirmed cases, the BVI has passed another milestone. But I repeat, we must not become complacent. The Minister for Health would have provided you with the updated figures yesterday, which includes 143 persons who, because of their travel history or because of having come in contact with certain persons, are under quarantine. We need to continue with the precautions and observations for a period of time to ensure that they are cleared. Quarantine helps to break the cycle. And if it helps to keep the person safe, it is needed to be done, because it not only keeps them safe, but it also keeps all of us safe. This was the rationale behind implementing a curfew and a further curfew to keep us all safe. Your government has been keeping our promise to ensure that you are informed of all decisions and relevant information. And today I want you to know that testing or swabbing continues, and the Minister of Health will update us. But for sure, we have 9 more persons recently that have been tested, and we are waiting the results. Let's continue to pray that all of them return to us negative. As you know, Cabinet has been meeting daily via the internet or in appropriate social distancing spaces to keep the BVI ahead in the fight against this health pandemic. Yesterday, 31st March, you would have heard of Cabinet's decision to extend the curfew period until 16 April at 6 p.m. initially. Yesterday, I promised you that we would come back with more cabinet decisions as we move forward in another curfew for our safety. Today, Cabinet decided that under the Curfew Act 2017, a territory-wide 24-hour curfew will be imposed from 6:01 a.m. on Thursday, 2nd April, and will run until 6 a.m. on Monday, 16th April 2020, with the exception of essential workers. Also, Cabinet approved today that notwithstanding item A that I just read above, persons who fall under the prescribed categories will be allowed to have access to certain services in a limited and managed way from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Thursday, 2nd April to Saturday, 4th April 2020, subject to the following. 1. Essential workers listed in the curfew order and those persons shopping for the vulnerable categories can do so from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. 2. Other persons, one per household, will be allowed to access the basic and essential services between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. by surnames. And the surnames are as follows. Those with surnames beginning from A through I will be on Thursday, 2nd April. Those surnames beginning with J through R will be on Friday, 3rd April. And those surnames beginning with S through Z will be on Saturday, 4th April. Cabinet also approved that limited basic and essential services, pharmacies, supermarkets, banks, gas stations, private medical facilities, fisher folks, farmers, bakeries, office supply stores, money transfer services, hardware stores, and mini markets will be allowed to open and be encouraged to offer online shopping for curbside and home delivery. Cabinet also decided that businesses that are allowed to open during this period are mandated to maintain the protocols for social distancing and implement increased sanitization measures. No one under mandatory quarantine will be allowed to leave his or her home during this period, and measures will be implemented as to how they would receive essential supplies. A. Endorsement and approval were given for the establishment of a client support center for persons quarantined due to the COVID-19, and B. Approval was granted for the Deputy Governor's Office and the HEOC to engage with private security companies to take forward the actions outlined in the Client Support Services Center program. Those persons in the vulnerable categories must also remain at home and receive their essential and basic supplies through home deliveries. Also, burials will be allowed with a maximum of 20 people over the 3-day period from this Thursday to Saturday. Cabinet also decided that household curbside garbage collection will be implemented on designated days in accordance with a territory-wide schedule to be issued by the Waste Management Department, Ministry of Health and Social Development. I want to take a moment to ensure that you are clear on how this curfew will work. We will be on a 24-hour curfew. However, on this Thursday, 2nd April, and on Friday, 3rd April, and on Saturday, 4th April, persons will be allowed during the hours and only during the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. to come out for certain activities and then return to their homes. So this is a full curfew, but on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., only essential services will be allowed to operate their businesses as I have mentioned before. I thank God because the banks continue to work with us for the good of the people of the Virgin Islands. And we continue to lobby the banks to have all of them open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to be able to service the needs of the people. And we have been receiving very good news from most of our banks, and we hope all will fall in. But I must say thank you today to Banco Popular, who has confirmed that they will open on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not only on Tortola, but also on Virgin Gorda. This is what happens when we work together for the good of the people. And to that I say, to God be the glory, especially for our people over in Virgin Gorda, to have Banco Popular operating again Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to assist in these trying times. Thank you, Banco Popular. Let me say that persons who are permitted outside their homes to use essential services must only leave their homes to go directly to those places of business and go straight back home. I remind you to do what is right and do not congregate anywhere or visit anyone while you leave your home. When you are done with your business of the day, go straight back home. It is for your good and our good. Persons will be allowed to use the essential services based on the first letter of their last name as follows. On Thursday, 2nd of April, I repeat, if your last name begins with A through the letter I, Thursday is the day when you must come out of your home and utilize those services. On Friday, if your last name begins with J through R, that is the day you will be allowed from your homes to utilize the essential services that will be open. And the same for on Saturday, S through Z. That is the only day you will be allowed out of your home to be able to utilize the essential services. You will leave from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. if needs be. However, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. is reserved for essential workers and seniors based on designated day by last name. Now, we do not want our seniors to leave their homes, so we're asking that persons who have to shop for seniors based on when their last name is, to note that you will have to bring proof that you are shopping or doing business for them, and you're expected to do those business between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. on each of the days assigned based on your last name. What we have done is to stagger the operations to avoid the buildup of crowds. This is for everyone's protection. Please note the following also. Persons from Anegada and from Jos Van Dyke are encouraged to also follow the same protocols that have been put in place for last names, and also are welcomed during that time to come to Tortola and utilize the essential services. Please note also the following guidelines because they are very important. Only one person per household will be allowed to go shopping. Please shop for 14 days. I repeat, please shop for a minimum of 14 days. All social distancing protocols, sanitization, and other precautions must be adhered to. And the wearing of masks that only fit over your mouth and nose is encouraged, but not in the banks. Assistance to persons or families who are experiencing hardship is very dear to your government's heart. And we have met the 13 House of Assembly members and we have properly discussed this matter because as your leader, as your premier, I do not want to see anyone go hungry that cannot do any better at this time to help feed themselves or feed their families. So as a result, assistance to persons or families who are experiencing hardship, your government has teamed up with the Family Support Network so that you can get groceries. So please contact the Family Support Network at 499-0999. I will repeat it, 499-0999 or 542-2085. Again, I'll repeat it, 542-2085. There will be a maximum amount assigned per person or family. And also, if you need further assistance with Family Support Network or getting through in this program, please feel free to contact each of your district representative or any one of the 4 territorial at-large members. So this is good news for persons who have been laid off and would not have had enough funds to shop for these 14 days, or persons who were not working, or whatever the hardship may be, as long as you can prove it so that you can get the help through your government via Family Support Network to be able to shop for your family, to be able to have grocery during the 14 days. No home deliveries will take place after Saturday 6 p.m. Saturday 6 p.m. starts a total of 14 days lockdown for 24 hours daily. For legal purposes, the current order for the curfew will end on 16th April. However, it is your government's intention to ensure, based on scientific data, to get 14 consecutive days of lockdown in order for us to try to beat this virus. So therefore, there will be the need for an order to be done to at least stretch for 3 more days to give us those 14 days starting from this Saturday. Again, 14 days lockdown starting from Saturday 6 p.m. So this is why you are being advised to shop for 14 days. It is only for your good, my good, all of our good, and the good of the BVI. Once we all do our part as members of a community and we maintain the recommended physical distance from each other, especially those persons who are required to quarantine, everyone will be kept safe. Many businesses are working to introduce conveniences to help make it easier for you to get your business done. Some are using curbside and delivery services and online shopping. As far as possible, I urge you to make use of these services because that will help everyone to get served faster and it will help with crowd control. I want to emphasize as well that the supermarkets and wholesalers have given the assurance that they have sufficient stocks to last for several months once there is no panic buying. So let us be responsible and be orderly in our shopping. I also want to urge all businesses to have compassion and consideration for citizens. We in the Virgin Islands are one family. Remember that due to this current situation, persons are not able to work. So please help to ease their burden. Do not add to it by raising prices and introducing new service charges. These are your loyal customers. Some of them are struggling. Please do not take advantage of them, as we have seen with hurricanes of 2017, because these dull days will not last forever. The same goes to the landlords. Work with your tenants and be understanding. We are in this together, and we have to help each other in whatever way we can to get through this. We are asking telecom companies not to cut customer service due to non-payment as a result of the shutdown. We are in this together, and we have to get through this together. These decisions are tough, and what I'm been asking is a lot. But we are doing this to save lives. Please keep that in the foremost of your mind. All that is being done is being done with one intention: to save your life, to save my life, and to save all our lives in the British Virgin Islands. These decisions were taken in the best interest of all the people of the BVI. None of these decisions by cabinet ministers were based on class, political factors, or where persons live, because this virus respects none of these things. I also want you to rest assured that your government is standing as the government for all of the BVI. This is not about who put us in office and who did not. We love all our people equally. This is about unity. As your premier, I love all my Virgin Islands people equally. You are my people, and I am your premier, and others, my colleagues with me, your government, and all of us in the House of Assembly and in Cabinet are putting you, the people, first. The safety of us in the BVI is our first priority, and most of our time as your government and our resources have been focused on doing just that. We are also working feverishly on an economic stimulus to help us through these difficult times. Today, Cabinet gave an extension for submittal on Wednesday coming next week, April 2020, after which I, as your Minister of Finance, will address you, the people, so that you, the people of the BVI, can be informed what your government will be doing for you during these tough times of the COVID-19 era. As always, I urge you to keep praying. Keep praying for the territory. God has always stood with us, more so in the tough times, and He will not let us down. May He bless and keep this Virgin Islands and our Virgin Islands people. I thank you, and may the peace of the Lord be with us always. I will now call on the Governor to give us some further updates and also insight in some other areas, especially in regards to the curfew.
Good evening, all. Yesterday, we announced that when this current curfew ends tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., a new curfew will be put in place, and that this will last for a further 14 days. Yesterday, we also announced that there would be limited and managed arrangements for people to get essential supplies before returning to a lockdown in their homes. As the Premier spoke about just now, Cabinet met today to decide how these arrangements will work. As you have heard from the Premier, this is an unprecedented situation, and it requires unprecedented actions to protect public health and save lives. On the advice of our healthcare teams, it was agreed a full curfew for an extended 14-day period was the best way we could stop this virus in its tracks. Staying in our homes and breaking the chain of this virus gives us the best chance to stamp it out before it takes hold in our community. Safety and saving lives, as the Premier said, is our overriding priority. Tonight I will sign a curfew order that will come into effect from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. I will go through some of the details of that. Firstly, there will be a chance for people to prepare. However, Cabinet has decided that from 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, there will be a curfew in place 24 hours a day. That means all through the day and all through the night until 6 a.m. on Thursday, the 16th of April. Aside from essential workers, and only when those essential workers are on duty, everyone will be required to stay in their homes during the next 14 days, except from in specific, limited arrangements over the next 3 days, which, as the Premier has mentioned, but I will reiterate and go through in detail. For the next 3 days, we are adopting a limited and managed approach to ensure that people are able to stock up for the full lockdown period. The best thing to break this disease is for everyone to stay at home. I cannot repeat that enough. But we recognise, of course, that we all need to stock up before we return to lockdown in our homes. As the Premier said, what we don't want, though, is for everyone to rush to the stores at once, creating a risk of the disease spreading in crowded spaces. Therefore, we will have a strict, managed approach to how you can restock for the next period. I will not repeat everything the Premier has said, but to go through the key points, on one of the next 3 days, people will be permitted to leave their homes according to the criteria agreed by Cabinet and for very limited purposes. This will be phased as follows. To repeat again, this will be phased as follows over Thursday, Friday and Saturday, for everybody is locked down. Number 1, essential workers and those persons shopping for those in vulnerable categories will have access to stores from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m, as well as when their designated surname day is. This is to reflect that they may be required to work during the other times. 2, at 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday the 2nd of April, a limited range of essential stores will be open to those with surnames that start with the letters A to I. 3rd, on Friday, the 3rd of April, the same limited range of stores will be open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. for those with surnames starting J to R. They'll be open earlier for essential services. 4, on Saturday, the same approach will apply, Saturday the 4th of April, for those with surnames starting S to Z. Only those people in those categories can be out on those days, and only for the limited purposes. Also, as the Premier said, only one member per household should go shopping, as all of this as set out by Cabinet. There will also be a limited connection service to run during those 3 days for people from the sister islands. Stores will check identification, and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force will be ensuring that those out of their homes restocking for the curfew are eligible to do so only based on those arrangements set out above, based on the surnames and based on the day that you are allowed to go out. People will be asked, and you must carry ID with you that shows your surname. On the day allocated to your surname, you are allowed only to go to get essential supplies. It does not mean you can go out for other reasons, to go round to a friend's house, to go to the beach, or go to the park. You cannot. The stores open will be limited to basic and essential services. These are pharmacies, supermarkets, banks, gas stations, private medical facilities, fisherfolk and farmers only when they are tending necessarily to their animals or stocks, bakeries, office supply stores, money transfer services, hardware stores and mini markets will be allowed to open on Thursday, Friday and Saturday. But they will also, as the Premier said, be encouraged to offer online shopping for curbside and also as much as possible home delivery. Businesses that are allowed to open during this period are mandated to maintain the protocols for social distancing and implement increased sanitisation measures. During the whole 14-day period, including Thursday, Friday and Saturday, no one under mandatory quarantine will be allowed to leave his or home during this period, and measures will be implemented as to how they receive essential supplies. For those persons quarantined due to the COVID-19, Cabinet has approved the establishment of a client support centre, which will do daily, throughout the day, monitoring, checking and support to those quarantined individuals. Earlier today, I signed assent to the COVID-19 Control and Suppression Act 2020, which now makes quarantine mandatory, and it is an offence to break it to leave your home if you are quarantined. Also, those persons in vulnerable categories should stay at home and receive their essential and basic supplies through home delivery. As the Premier said, during Thursday, Friday and Saturday, only burials will be allowed to take place with a limit of 20 people and with social distancing. Funerals will not be allowed at any time, and burials will not be allowed after Saturday for the remainder of the 14-day period. After your day has passed and you have got your essential supplies, you are required to stay in your home until Thursday, the 16th of April. So after Saturday, for some it may be earlier, the Friday, but after Saturday, everyone will be in their homes apart from essential workers on duty. This is in effect a shutdown of the territory with just limited access up to Saturday. Now beginning Saturday 6 p.m, shops including supermarkets and pharmacies, all businesses will not be open from Saturday 6 p.m. The public service will continue to operate only key essential services remotely, and government offices will not be open. Support will be available to those who need it, including for those who cannot afford to purchase sufficient food for the 14-day period at once, or cannot get to the store because of their vulnerabilities. Cabinet has made plans for this, as you heard from the Premier, and the Ministry of Health will set out further details, including through the Family Support Network on social media channels. A key concern for many has been the issue of garbage collection. I'm grateful that people abided by the very difficult measures we had to take about garbage in the last week. From tomorrow, Thursday the 2nd, until Thursday the 16th of April, Solid Waste Management will be operating a curbside collection system. Full details will be posted on the government's social media channels. I want to reiterate that apart from going for essential supplies on the day allocated to your surname, this means again not leaving your house or yard for any reason unless it is an emergency. Police will be patrolling and will enforce the curfew, and they can arrest for breach of the curfew if necessary. As a Cabinet, we have had to make difficult decisions. This includes not allowing people to leave their homes or go further than their yards for exercise. People must exercise in their homes or their yards during this period. We know this will be hard, but a full lockdown is the best way to stamp out this virus. We've also reviewed the policy for issuing passes and have established a new list of essential workers. This will be published imminently. If you received a pass to cover the period from the 28th of March to Thursday, the 2nd of April, and you are no longer listed as having an essential role, your pass is no longer valid. As a reminder, curfew passes must only be used when individuals are undertaking essential duties or travelling to and from their workplace for essential duties. Pass holders are otherwise expected to uphold the restrictions of the curfew in line with all other people in this territory. Details on the pass scheme are available on the government's social media sites. As a Cabinet, we don't underestimate at all how difficult these measures are. These restrictions are continuing to create hardships for businesses and employees and for all individuals. As the Premier said, Cabinet will shortly be looking at measures of how to support businesses and individuals affected financially or made unemployed due to the coronavirus. We know this is difficult, and these measures are difficult. But all of the measures we are taking through Cabinet are driven simply by one motivation: to protect you and to protect the overall population of the territory. These measures are necessary, and we do not undertake them lightly. I'm calling on all in the British Virgin Islands to make what we sincerely hope will be a short-term sacrifice now, so that we can get through this together sooner and healthy. This is our best chance to reduce the risk that the coronavirus spreads in our territory. The better we comply with staying at home, the better the chance that this will be a short disruption to our lives. Can I once again thank all of our public services and statutory teams for all of their work, and thank all of the public for complying with these measures. Stay healthy, and may God bless this territory. Thank you. Minister for Health.
I say good evening to everyone. The numbers bear us out as it relates to why such what some may term as drastic terms in this announcement that you have heard here tonight. It was on February 26, 2020, that the Costa Fabulosa was denied entry to the territory. At that time, 81,131 persons were declared throughout the globe as being infected with coronavirus. There were no cases in the Caribbean and no cases in the BVI. It was on March 11th that the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a pandemic, and at that time, it had moved in terms of number of cases globally from 81,131 to now at March 11th, 118,162 cases. And there were 17 cases that were tested and declared in the Caribbean, none in the Virgin Islands. Today, as we speak to you, based on specific numbers declared, the global numbers, in some quarters they were saying 900,000, but based on our set of WHO numbers, we have 823,626 cases, of which 2,208 are declared in the Caribbean, with 3 in the Virgin Islands. We receive reports daily due to the hard work of our public health team, the hard work of the team of the Health Services Authority, the Ministry of Health and Social Development, the DDM. We have a number of government teams working together to make sure that we are making decisions based on statistics, based on global records, global trends. Here in the Virgin Islands, when we reported to you yesterday, it was based on numbers that were 2 or 3 days old. At that time, we had 52 cases that were tested, of which 49 were confirmed as negative, while 3 were confirmed as positive. Today, based on the assignment or the cooperation of CARICOM, the Regional Security Service, through their dedication to arrive in the Virgin Islands on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to collect tests, which are taken to CARICOM in Trinidad, we are able to have a rapid delivery of results. So today, we have transported 9 additional tests, which will be certified in Trinidad by CARICOM, and the results would be known to us shortly, maybe within the next 48 to 60 hours. It is important to note that we have 143 persons, as I reported, under quarantine. These persons today and yesterday were being retested so that if persons were deemed not to be requiring further quarantine and or isolation, they could be so declared. But with the 9 additional cases, you would appreciate the fact that we have to make sure that this virus, it is given no opportunity, no chance to spread throughout our community. We have taken proactive steps in making sure that we contain it at our borders. All of the cases that have been confirmed were based on travel history, based on cases that are deemed to be imported. There are no signs to date of community spread. It is important that we note there are no signs of community spread. If we do not take the measures that have been outlined to you, we would increase the risk of having community spread because we have been vigilant in protecting our borders. Now it is only those persons who have traveled and have come to the end of their 14 days, but they may have come in contact with other persons. Those are primary contacts. Then we have to look at those that may have come in secondary contacts. If we go through a 14 days protocol, we can flatten the curve. We can work and make sure that this virus have no opportunity to spread in our community. The teams are hard at work. They have modeled. If we did nothing, we could well have been up to 3,000 cases today. When we look at other areas throughout the Caribbean, we would see, and each of our households have the ability to look at trends, look at where the numbers are coming from. So we pray for our brothers and sisters throughout the Virgin Islands, throughout the region, and throughout the world. This is a serious call to action. We would demand, request, beg of your support in doing your part. We can get through this together. If you do your part, stay at home. We have looked at the next 3 days at being able to restock. You do not have to have the panic button, although it might seem a little bit of a paradox. But our supermarkets have assured us that there will be no shortage of food, no shortage of supplies. We invite you to stay tuned to your radios, go on your social medias, and look at all of the sites that government have posted so that you can be informed as to the next step. We endeavor to give you the facts as we get them. We will hide nothing. The Premier has stated that there are some economic recovery packages that we will need to look at. He would have a broadcast next Wednesday. There are some immediate steps that we are taking for the most vulnerable, and we invite you to allow those persons most in need to benefit from these packages. I want to say thank you very much. Thanks for the hard work that has been done throughout the territory by the entire government services, private services, the Health Services Authority, and all the agencies stated prior. We say we say to you, good night. God bless each of you, and we say, God bless the Virgin Islands.